with who I am or consistent with what you know to be the truth, honey, get to that typing. Anybody who would falsely accuse me of defending Gene Deal, you do not know me at all. You don't know me at all. I think he is a scallywag, a scoundrel, a liar of epidemic proportion, and he will stop at nothing to attempt to absolve himself from all of the things he saw, witnessed, participated in, and all of that. I don't trust him. I can prove that he's a liar. Trust me. Trust me. When I sat back for 25 years, amassing information, proof, and all of that, and telling my story, I amassed information on a lot of people, especially those like Gene Deal, who threw himself out into the lexicon because he wanted attention or he was angry and he was commiserating. Frankly, I think he's a double agent. I think he's a double agent. The contradictions in his statements are jarring. And I have proof of it. Some people be like, oh, come on, sis, Gene's nice. Really? He's nice based on your limited understanding and knowledge of this case and other things. He's nice on your limited, and no disrespect to anybody anywhere else in the world, but you in Indiana can't tell me nothing about what he was doing in New York. I was there. He is trying to set a precedence by which he creates enough reasonable doubt about his interactions and his presence at things. First and foremost, I used to work for New York State, the government of New York, as did my sister, my grandmother, my mother, and many of you people. My mother retired from the state government for almost 50 years of service. Let me tell you something about New York State government, working for them. Far more important than whatever division of New York State you work for and what they've hired you to do is time and attendance. Okay? They could hire you to be a chemist, mixing the most infinite compounds, or they could hire you to be the guy who cleaned the toilets. Let me tell you about both of those things. One thing about both of those things. New York State government is obsessed with time and attendance. Okay? It is paramount to whatever you were hired to do. I need to know how this man was an active probation officer for New York State, and everywhere that every single criminal act happened in hip hop, every single party, he got stories about, I was at this, I was at the Peterson, I was here, I was there. Where's Waldo? Where's Waldo much? You everywhere. How'd you have time? You retired as a probation officer? You collect a pension? Well, how did you do all these things and were at every single situation and you was actively a probation officer? When did you probate people's sentences? When? Something in the milk ain't clean. Smell federal agency to me. I don't trust it. It smells like a cover story. You collect a pension, but you was away so much. You was in every state at every show. Oh, let me tell you what happened after the show. We had did this, and I seen a guy in a blue suit, and he was tap dancing and carrying a monkey and jiggling a feather and all. What? How? I worked for New York State, and trust me, I'm not the biggest on time and attention. That's why I work for myself. Me and them was always in problems about time and attendance. Time and attendance. I promise you that. I was so creative with I would walk into office and be like, so listen, the 8 hours personal time that I'm going to get for next month, I need to use that now. They'd be like, who do you think you are walking in here? We don't do that. We're not doing that. They always had why do you think you could just manipulate time and attendance like that? I said, I'm not manipulating time and attendance, but I have other things that I'm doing, and it doesn't necessarily comport with the structured environment that you guys have around here. We had a lady named Alice. She was from India. Love Alice. Alice, if you're watching, God bless you. Alice was about that grind. Her and her husband had plans, and baby, Alice would do your We had mandated overtime. That's why I don't understand how he was everywhere. New York State has mandated overtime and you cannot refuse. If you do, you'll get struck and you will be on suspension. You will be on suspension. Alice would go to different units in the building and be like, I'll do your time. I'll do your overtime for you. Alice used to, she was an overtime bandit. I know her checks was guap, every check. She would work for everybody. It was her and a whole little group of Indian ladies. You could look for them. They say, oh, you got mandated overtime. I've been mandated when New York had a massive snowstorm and the whole city was frozen over. And I had children at the daycare. I had to get somebody else to go get them. I was mandated. I couldn't step off their property if I wanted to still have a career with the state. But this Ninja Gene everywhere. Literally in the Roman Colosseum. At the John Wilkes Booth assassination of Lincoln. In Carthage, Mesopotamia, everywhere. Nigeria, he everywhere. How? Ask yourself that. With every story, swearing he know the facts of everything. I seen the check for Tupac's death, unaliving. I seen the check for Biggie. He's seen everything. How? I don't trust him. So to come to my page and accuse me of defending him, you don't know me. Perhaps get to know me. Perhaps go back and watch some of my other videos. I've done a video on the unaliving of people at Tuskegee University because I don't like people to be victimized. They were having their normal homecoming as they do every year. And somebody thought, hey, it's a good time to go and ruin lives. I did a video about the director of the EPA in Georgia that was testifying at a hearing in the Capitol about how this company, with their paltry record of environmental responsibility, had this biolab, chemical spill that injured a whole bunch of people, made a bunch of people sick. After this man, while he was testifying, he kept grabbing his collar. He was uncomfortable. He literally got up, walked out after his testimony, and fell to his unaliving in the hallway. That's how bad the EPA thing was. I've done lots of stories. I've done that Fulton County is corrupt. Go look at my videos, as well as a whole other things. Get to know me before you come here and disrespect me. The narrator. One person said, the narrator gets on my nerves. She should shut up and let her talk. Excuse me. The only way you would hear a particular person's story is that someone saw fit to have a channel. I'm not anybody's narrator. I am a channel host who brings people on because I want to help them in their faith walk and their journey towards healing.